Oh, hello. You're listening to Politics, a Harry Potter reread podcast focusing on politics in the wizarding world. I am Adri, your host and recovering English major who'd like to have some words with people who describe pregnancy as, quote, miraculous.
Oh, yeah, those people are kidding themselves. I haven't even been pregnant, and Anyway, I'm Helene, your co-host, producer, and I simultaneously can't believe we're only 2 weeks into 2022, but also like we're already 2 weeks into 2022. What? Like what? Like time is so weird right now. I can't.
Yeah, and it's like not been a great 2 weeks for like everyone generally.
No. Yeah, it's 2022 is just not going to be our year. It just needs to be done, you know?
Called it. Time of death. 2 weeks into January 2022.
Yeah, let's just skip to 2023. Hopefully things will be better then. That's all I can say.
You know what? I don't know. I'm just... Deep sigh. All right, let's move on, I guess. Because today, it's not just us complaining about pregnancy in 2022.
We're going to complain about a chapter of Harry Potter.
We're going to complain about chapter 22 of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and this one is titled After the Burial.
We do like to complain. What can I say? This is the one where Ron and Hermione have to take their apparition exams, and Hermione passes, but Ron, unfortunately, just fails. Half an eyebrow, guys. Half an eyebrow.
Relatable in 2022.
Yeah, exactly. Harry attempts once again to get the memory from Slughorn after potions class, but is unsuccessful, so he goes to his last resort and takes Felix Felicis. Under the influence of Felix, he runs into Slughorn on the way to Aragog's funeral and successfully gets the memory from a very drunk Slughorn by doing what he does best, appealing to his love for Lily and wanting to be brave just once.
Well, and also knowing he's never going to remember having done it.
That's true. Yes, he does. He does know that Slughorn's not going to remember it. But while in the moment, I thought it was really interesting that like how he appealed to like be brave, for Lily, and Slughorn is not a very brave person, and I think that really pushed him over the edge.
That and the alcohol.
Yeah, it all helped. It was like a concoction of just lots of things going right.
Well, and also like getting a treasure trove of things he's gonna sell in the market.
Oh my god, yeah. He's like so excited to make a ton of money with all this illegal stuff that he got.
He's like, do you know how many velvet jackets I'm gonna be able to buy? Like, my god.
All that crystallized pineapple going straight to my gut.
But that's why he needs the new velvet jackets, Helene. Come on.
Yeah, it's true. Gotta go up a size or two.
You know what? I mean, relatable. What a relatable king.
Right.
As someone who is rapidly expanding.
I know, yeah.
In the midsection.
You have more of that going on in general than I do at this moment.
Just relatable. I'm like, every time I look at my closet, I'm like, well, that one is off the rotation for a while.
At least you know that there's like a deadline and like eventually you will fit back into these things.
I mean, hopefully. Who knows?
I'm sure you will. I'm sure it'll all be fine.
I don't know. I'm not having this baby at 22, Helene. I'm having this baby at 35. Metabolisms, they kind of like crash and burn after like a certain age.
I don't know if I ever had one, to be honest.
I mean, mine was pretty weak to begin with, but like after I turned 33,
you're not making me excited for my 33rd birthday, gotta tell you.
Well, everybody is different though.
True. Anyway,
it's not all about us. But it also is. So let's talk about the politics that we saw in this chapter. Helene, when you read this wonderful chapter, what did you feel was the politic that you wanted to talk to us today?
Yeah, this one was one of like the easiest chapter to politics that like I read it and I was like, oh yeah, this is the politic. Like I didn't have to
Duh.
I didn't go through any other options. I was like, yep, this is it. And so I went with confidence. And this being the Felix Felicis heavy chapter should not be surprising. But basically everybody has different levels of confidence in this chapter, and their different levels are very, very prevalent and very relevant to the plot. They all have implications to that actually play out in their lives based on what level of confidence they have. And so, for example, Ron has somewhat low confidence going into his apparition test. And because he obviously like hasn't really been able to do it very successfully in the past, and he's just worried, and he's been thinking about it a lot. And we see that lack of confidence in the fact that he fails by just such a slim margin. I gotta say though, like, not surprising, Ron has low confidence in almost every single thing that he does. That's like a character trait of Ron.
Very unlike a white man of him, really.
That's kind of true. Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been a bigger shock if I had said Ron's confidence was so high in this chapter. Like that doesn't happen.
I know, but what I'm saying is like that has not been my experience with the white men.
Yes, no, I totally agree. Ron is enigma, I guess, in that.
An outlier.
Yeah. And another white man whose confidence is not great in this chapter, but it is out of character, is Draco. Draco's confidence is very obviously shaken by the fact that he hasn't succeeded in his mission to kill Dumbledore yet. And we see this, physically see this in his change in his weight and appearance that Harry points out during their potions class. Says that he's looking thinner, his skin is looking like a bit leathery, I think is what he says. And he also has like a merely passable potion that he makes. Like he's not doing his best work in potion class, probably because he's distracted and like saddened by his, the fact that his confidence is so low after not being able to succeed in his mission.
Well, he's just so sad he hasn't been able to assassinate his headmaster.
I know, right?
Oh, poor Draco.
Poor Draco, yeah. But yeah, that's very out of character for Draco. He's usually, just overrunning with confidence all the time.
Just pompous,
Yeah, that white man confidence. But obviously, and I alluded to this right at the beginning, like the main time that confidence plays, like the main factor that we see confidence in is the Felix Felicis that Harry takes. So Felix Felicis obviously seems to affect the drinker's confidence probably more than most other things. It not only provides Harry with like a basic sense of like what to do next to achieve his goal with like those little nudges and like him just kind of like, like for some reason I feel like I need to go to Hagrid's. I don't know why, it just feels right, but it also gives him confidence that he really needs every step of the way to like make sure that everything that he does do succeeds. And therefore ensures a very successful mission for him in getting the Slughorn memory. We don't see Harry questioning why the potion is telling him to do certain things because of that like underlying confidence.
He just trusts the process, know?
He's confident that the potion is working and the potion knows what it's doing and it's going to help him. And because of that, it does, and he's successful. So confidence, man. It has real life implications, is basically what I'm saying.
I love it. Can't wait to hear which quote you have for confidence.
Yeah, so what about you? What politic did you see this week?
Well, I saw the politic of social investment, and I'm thinking about this in this way. Like, there's no way to really quantify the economics of relationships. It's not like you can say like, oh, I have like this jar in my brain, right? And you have like, I don't know, 50 jelly beans in it or whatever, right? Like, and that means you're a good friend to me or that I respect you. But we all have a set of social expectations from other people, and those are really personal. to us and to everyone else, they have their own, which is how we classify again who is important to us or who we respect or who we, there's always like a give and take. Even if we don't want to think about it that way, there's always like this like transactional nature.
Well, I gotta say, if you were to give me a jar of 50 jelly beans, I'd probably like you more.
I mean, yeah, like I know. I think with me would be like the like I'm really into like champagne gummy bears right now because like I can't drink, but like those
all right.
taste a little bit like I'm drinking, but it's not alcoholic, So
oh gosh, that's really funny. I'm getting an insight into your coping mechanisms as a pregnant woman.
Yeah, which is why I'm also expanding as Slughorn would with the crystallized pineapple.
Yes, exactly.
But like I said, not everyone has the same like economic system or expectations of other people. Let's just say that the exchange rate varies from person to person.
Okay.
So we see this a lot with like Slughorn and Professor Sprout when he's like profusely thanking her for, doing him a solid. He's really into like this economic of relationships. Harry exploits this when he encounters Slughorn and tells him about Hagrid, and he sees the glint in Slughorn's eyes because of the venom that is so expensive.
Right.
And exploits it later at, Hagrid's hut.
Right.
But we also kind of see it with Lavender Brown. When she was like, what are you doing hanging out with her? And Harry's like, I'm out, peace, y'all. So just kind of like her like expectations of a relationship with Ron are very different from his expectations of a relationship with Lavender, right? So
right, yeah.
So it's just like that like give and take of relationships, like that exchange that it was really interesting in this chapter.
Yeah. That's really like that's a deep cut, but I like it.
I don't know, it's just Slughorn for some reason just like it's always transactional with him.
Oh yeah, totally. He's a very transactional type of guy.
Oh, can't wait to talk about it more.
Yeah.
All right, but tell me about your quote for your politic for confidence.
Yeah, mine is a short and sweet one. I had a lot to choose from in this chapter, and I was going through it, and I was like, this one has the word in the quote, so I'm just going to use it.
Okay.
It says,
great, fantastic. Yeah,
cannot argue. It's a good qualifier. It's just, trust me, he said. I know what I'm doing. Or at least he strolled confidently to the door. Felix does.
Look at that.
Yeah.
It has both confidence and the name of the potion in your quote.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, this is just like, Harry's and his cockiness in this chapter is just great. I just love it. I'll get to it because it's my chocolate more. It's kind of my chocolate. We'll get to it. I love it.
Okay, but Helene, have you ever? I mean, it's been a while since I've revisited Half-Blood Prince, obviously.
Yeah,
but I vividly remember, maybe a few years ago, there was like this feeling I had that I had to be somewhere. Like I was doing some work in like the office I used to work at.
Ooh.
And like I like the spirit moved me.
Ooh.
I will say.
You accidentally took some Felix Felicis there. You didn't know it.
I don't know. Maybe the house elves just like,
how
spiked
cool.
my coffee.
How cool would it be? I know that we're gonna get to this in our patron segment.
Yes,
later,
yes.
But how fucking cool would it be to be able to take Felix Felicis?
Beautiful, chef's kiss. So I remember very vividly getting this feeling of I need to take a break. Kind of like how Harry was like, I should stroll through here rather than through there kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so like very uncharacteristically of me too, like just went to the second floor and I saw something that I shouldn't have seen.
No.
And I heard something I shouldn't have heard.
Oh,
and
my
I was
God.
like, interesante.
Oh,
¡Qué escándalo!
The tea. I love it.
And And it was actually something that I was able to use later on as leverage,
Oh
which
my
was
god.
it was like, I don't know, in the moment I didn't know why I needed to know that, but then when something else happened, I was like, oh, this is why I know. It was beautiful.
That's just
And
that's crazy. That's insane.
and reading this chapter kind of like brought me back to that
Really?
moment,
Yeah,
right?
I can see that. That's really cool. That I kind of wish I had an experience like that. I don't.
I feel like you will.
Maybe. We'll see.
I am manifesting that for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So, what quote or moment did you choose for social investment then in this chapter?
Okay, okay, fine. I'll stop spilling the
No,
tea.
no, I didn't have any exciting things to contribute, so I thought let's just.
Okay, fine.
I thought that was a really really like.
But patrons, maybe I'll give the rest of the tea in the segment.
Oh, I didn't think you would actually want to tell me what you saw. I thought that was like a confidential thing.
Maybe just for patrons, because like
Ooh.
I'm not gonna put my whole like life on blast out there for just anyone.
True. Yes.
You know?
We'll have to we'll regroup. We'll regroup and realign on this later.
Oh, I love how you speak corporate to me.
Thank you.
All right, so my quote was the alluded to moment where Slughorn is talking to Professor Sprout.
Okay.
I do thank you for taking the time, Pomona, Slughorn was saying courteously. Most authorities agree that they are at their most efficacious if picked at twilight. Oh, I quite agree, said Professor Sprout warmly. That enough for you? Plenty, said Slughorn, who Harry saw was carrying an armful of leafy plants. This should allow for a few leaves each for my third years, and some to spare if anybody overstews them. Well, good evening to you, and many thanks again.
I just love the use of the word efficacious. It's just beautiful.
Well, also, like, he's just like plenty, and like, well, good evening to you. Like, he's very overtly like,
yeah, I mean,
courteous, I guess, in a way.
Well,
that kind of like, makes my antenna like pop up, you know?
Yeah, I kind of forget like how much herbology and potions like have to like they kind of are like they're married. They're very like
but it's not like we ever see like Snape chatting away with Sprout.
Yeah, like we would never see this happen between Snape and Sprout because of the person that Snape is. So that's why I think it's really interesting to have Slughorn, because then we get to this moment just kind of really shows us that they're so much more entwined as subjects. Than
and he's like, okay, so maybe Hogwarts could procure these like by other means.
Yeah, but he wants.
So he wants the best quality.
Yeah.
So he's like, let me see if I can charm like our herbology professor to get me the better quality ones.
Well, plus also it's more convenient because it's here and it's free. So
and it's kind of like a farm to table situation.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's like networking, really. That's what it is.
Oh. Yeah, so he's very like this was one of the times where I didn't mind his like transactional nature.
Yeah.
But later in the chapter, and we'll get to that. Trust me, we'll get to that because it's one of my Dementors.
Really? Yeah.
He just cringed, like, not likey.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I feel like we've made it pretty clear we're not huge Slughorn fans in general. Like we've had some really bad.
Well, unless we're talking about like velvet smoking jackets, in which case,
and my Dementor is also him. My Dementor is Slughorn in this chapter as well, which is why it's going to be weird for me to say. I actually kind of didn't mind Slughorn overall in this chapter, but the Dementor I have for him is bad. So maybe that'll just cancel
mine
it
is
all
pretty
out.
Specific too, but like. Honestly, smoking velvet jacket, I'm in for that, but not much else.
Yeah, he's kind of, yeah. And anyway.
All right, who's the character that defined confidence for you?
Yeah, it's not Slughorn.
Wow.
As much as we've been talking about him. No, the character, obviously, I mean, I think is pretty obvious, at least for me. I went with Harry for confidence, because his confidence on the success of his mission to get the memory, all the way up until this point has been really volatile, right? Like he hasn't really had very high confidence, or sometimes he'll be overconfident, and then get shot down, and then like really have no confidence and think like there's no way I'm going to get this. And he's just basically like not had a very stable amount of confidence on the success of getting this memory. But in this chapter, obviously, he figures out the one thing that's going to skyrocket his confidence and be the key to getting it. And it works. So, it's Harry.
All right. For me, obviously, the character that was like, social investment or like economics of relationships was Slughorn. Like, which, who else?
Right.
Who else, dear listeners, could I have picked? But how do you see it in the book?
I mean,
your confidence.
I mean, I guess you also could have said Lavender. I could have seen that too. But yeah, Slughorn is very obvious.
Well, but I feel like we've been bashing Lavender a lot lately, so I'm just like gonna give her a pass.
That's fair. I can see that. So throughout the book, for confidence, for me, I just think of Dumbledore. Just because
he has like a quiet confidence, man. Like
exactly right. Like I don't know, one of his main qualities and personality traits, at least when I think of Dumbledore, is like just an inherent confidence in like everything he does. But it's not like overbearing. It's not like overpowering.
It's not in your face.
Yeah, he's not arrogant. He's not like, so confident to the point of like, oh, I'm the best at everything. But he has like this really, like you said, understated, like quiet, but inherent confidence in literally everything he does. So, like, I mean, we never see him panic. We never see him, question, at least like outwardly question.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What?
I just had like the flashback of like whenever we see Snape's memory of Dumbledore and the Black Hand, like in book 7.
Oh,
and
yeah?
He's like, yeah, I guess I could have died, but it's fine. like he's so confident that it's scary.
Yeah, right? It's like that is such a Dumbledore thing. It's crazy. So like obviously in this book, he has a ton of confidence, just like about he like knows exactly what he's looking for in this like Voldemort hunt and all these memories. He has this confidence that's just like, I know what I'm going to be doing. I just have to make sure that I'm right and pass it on to Harry, but I already know I'm right.
Nothing makes a confident man like Dumbledore create a plan more quickly than knowing when he's going to die.
Exactly. Yeah, no. Very true. Very, very true.
Oh, so I'm going to be like dead by the end of term. All right, so let me put some things in place here. And accelerate my own timeline of telling Harry what's up.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I mean, Dumbledore confidence synonymous for me. What about for your politic throughout the book?
Well, I mean, we've talked about this man forever. Like Slughorn is throughout the book the most in-your-face representation of social investment. He invests in people and tells them he's investing in them, so that when they become someone, they can return that investment somehow.
That's true. Yeah. Like you said, also, very, very transactional. Yeah.
Very transactional. But also, let's not forget, and this is, I mean, I don't mean to bash, but let's not forget that Lavender Brown is also very transparently transactional in her relationship with Ron.
That's true. And I feel like Ron is also transactional in that relationship.
Oh, yeah. Like, he's just, I guess, more laid back about it. He's like, I just want to make out,
Yeah, but he's obviously, like, in it for specific reasons.
Oh, yeah, but she's like, I want to control who you see. So
right,
that's
right.
Like,
no, totally. Yeah. It's very toxic, as we've discussed.
Well, speaking of toxic, let's go to Dementors in our Dementors and Chocolate section. Who was your Ted Cruz? Or maybe like a Kristen Cinema or Joe Manchin,
Marjorie Taylor Greene, excuse me.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. No, I just want to give like equal like bipartisan love here.
True. Slughorn, as I mentioned, but this very specific moment where he he tests his drinks for poison by endangering the lives of house elves and forcing them to drink things that could possibly be poisoned and kill them. So basically, like a complete indifference to whether they live or die.
Like,
And
is there not any other way, Potions Master?
I mean, like, it's
like,
just,
I would think there's like a solution, like a titration or something that turns a different color if there's poison in it.
yeah, I mean, but he's so nonchalant about it. He's like, oh yeah, I just like I had my house
But
elves.
like, even thinking about Helene, like his discipline is potions,
right?
Which
Yeah,
I guess in the Muggle world is chemistry, right?
right.
And in chemistry, there are so many ways to find out what is in a compound, like in a drink
he
or
could
whatever.
just like do a chemical reaction, like put in this thing that will react if there's a poison in it, and if it reacts, then he doesn't drink it.
Exactly. Ah, so frustrating.
Yeah, it's awful. I read that and like it was so nonchalant, and like obviously it makes me kind of like question the author. I mean, because why is that something that she would just like toss out so easily? It's
Well,
awful.
the author would say something like, "Well, I didn't do it. The character did it, and it's because there are terrible people in this world." And I would say to the author, "Correct. There are terrible people in the world, and you're one of them too."
Yeah,
Like,
but yes, but it's like, okay, why are you why do you have characters like this that you like try to make
like
like
we've
redeeming?
already discussed how terribly the wizarding world treats house elves. Why do we need another fucking example?
Yeah, and also it's just like it's characters that like have some sort of redemption arc, right? Like Slughorn is not seen as like a bad person all the time. Like he's seen as like this redeemable character for the most part, or at least she tries to make him redeemable.
But then, no, yeah, I know, I don't like it.
Yeah, it's it really rubbed me the wrong way. It was really icky, and I didn't like it. So I know that Slughorn was also your Dementor, but what specific moment?
Okay, so first off, like that was one of the things that bothered me in the chapter, right? But also the other part that bothered me was that in the moment of someone's else's deep grief, like Hagrid,
Yeah,
he was more interested in exploiting it for his financial good.
Oh yeah, I think that he is like he has to be a sociopath at in some degree. Like I don't think he has empathy for people.
Not only did he take the venom, he also took all the unicorn hairs.
Did he take them? I know he like talked about them in the chapter, but I couldn't remember.
Hagrid gave it to him after he like persuaded him.
Oh yeah, well I remember Hagrid was like, "Oh, here's to 10 galleons of hair," or whatever. Like
yeah. But that's what he said in his like toast, and Hagrid was too far gone to even notice.
Yeah.
It's just like exploiting someone's grief is just very icky.
Yeah, and Hagrid is unfortunately sometimes a little too easy to take advantage of like that too, because he's very kind. He's overly kind to people, and he trusts people.
Yeah,
and it sucks. It sucks.
It sucks being that way.
But you know what sucks even more? Having people take advantage of you.
What sucks even more is the people who actually see that and take advantage of it.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Nah. Anyway, so let's move on to happier, hopefully, things. What was your chocolate?
So, yeah, I mean, just the entire interaction with Ron and Hermione after Harry takes the potion, after he takes Felix Felicis, like, I'd forgotten how completely accurate the scene in the movie was to the book. Like, whenever I, like, because I think of the movie first, because, like, I've watched the movie more times than I've read the book, because movies are just easy to watch. And books take a lot of time and effort to, like, read through the whole thing. And so, like, when I think of this scene, I think of the movie, and I always, like, for some reason in my head, it's like, oh, yeah, they, like, did up the comedy because it's the movie, like, oh, they just, like, wanted to make it funny. And that scene is, like, genuinely funny in the movie. But, like, the book itself is not a funny, book. So I was like, oh, they just made it too funny. But then I'm reading this scene in the book, and it's literally, like, they had line for line. Like, the movie literally just lifted the scene out of the book.
And I love when that happens.
Yeah, I just forgot, and I was like, oh, it is actually this funny. And, like, I love the scene in the movie, and therefore, like, it's because that, like, the scene in the book is so good. Like, I love the scene. It's so funny.
I love the part where like Harry bumps into Ginny and Ginny just is like, Dean, would you stop doing
Right?
that?
Yeah. That, I mean, just like, he's just like riding on euphoria at this point. The only thing I will say, like, just the interaction with Ron and Hermione before he like goes down to the hut is very accurate. I will say, unfortunately, the don't forget about the pictures, like, and he like clicks or whatever with his like the GIF, like, that is not in the book. Unfortunately, they did add that for the movie. Because that's probably like my all-time favorite part of the movie.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah.
And that wasn't in the book, but like everything of just like, you know, him being like, oh, you know what, I think I'm gonna go to Hagrid's, and they're like, what? And I just have a really good feeling about Hagrid's, you know, like, it's just so funny. It's so funny. Anyway, that was my chocolate. What is yours?
Mine is just the description of the feeling that Harry has after like ingesting the potion, and like that feeling of, oh, I am moved to go here, I am moved to go there, or whatever. And I was
Mhm.
like, I actually now recognize that.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I never thought I would recognize anything like that in my real life ever. Right? But apparently I am just like, oh yeah, that's happened to me actually a lot of times in recent years.
Yeah,
Interesting.
you must have some just like really good intuition or something. I don't.
It's just been like, I guess that the more I listen to it,
Yeah.
the more like I accept it into my life, I guess, instead of resist it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Pretty cool.
But you know what else is pretty cool, Helene? Our Patreon, because we have super exclusive content on our Patreon for our patrons, because it is a super exclusive club where I spill all the tea, clearly. And if you would also like to be part of this exclusive club, you can hop on over to patreon.com/occupolitics.
Yeah, you're gonna get some really awesome stuff if you do that. For $2 a month, you're gonna get access to exclusive bonus content that we record every single episode, just for patrons. And then the $5 and $10 month tiers get you lots of really cool physical rewards every 3 months, kind of like a subscription box. It's worth it. You get some really cool limited edition stuff that you can hold on forever and really impress your friends.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, not licensed, so, you know,
Exactly.
if you're worried about the author
It
getting money, no.
only benefits us, your hosts and creators of the podcast, and it does not benefit anyone
It only
else.
benefits the subscription fees that we have to pay to
Exactly.
keep the show going.
It definitely, yeah. That's very accurate. Yep. Yeah. So it's really
I
cool.
mean, right now we're just like breaking even, and it's great.
I love it. Just mildly gliding across life. I love it.
Yeah, well, it's true. Like mildly gliding across life. I mean, I shouldn't say breaking even. I think I still pay a little bit extra, but it's better than paying everything, you know?
I mean, it helps. It helps.
It helps. Every little bit helps, please. Speaking of which, we are going to be talking after this episode, if you're a patron, what we would use Felix Felicis for if we had 5 vials each. So like a top 5 reasons we would use the lucky potion. And if you're a patron, you can just like listen through and get that just like you would any episode. But if you're not a patron, then you miss out. And also you miss out on me spilling the tea. You know?
Yeah, you're going to want to be there for this one. This will be a fun discussion. I'm really excited.
Something else I'm very excited about is the questions of the week, or the questions every episode that we post to our listeners. Last time we asked our listeners, why do you think wizards need to have a license in order to apparate? We got responses, I'm sure, ranging all across the spectrum. Helene, what did we get?
Yes, so we have a couple of them. So the first one is from @OtterOfTheWorld. On Twitter, they said, to prove that they can do it safely and effectively. Now, this was the most popular answer, which, I mean, fair. Yes. I guess when we were thinking about it, it was kind of like when you drive a car, it's so that like that you don't like you're competent enough in the skills of driving a car that you like don't run into other cars or kill people on the road or like drive over pedestrians and like the traffic laws. But there aren't really traffic laws for apparitions, so I guess like you could maybe
Also, you can't get really pulled over.
no
That
exactly.
was my question.
But like I guess I would then equate it more to like maybe like a boating license or like a fishing license.
But you can still get the Coast Guard can still get after you.
Yeah, but like there aren't like speed limits, and so I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting, but yeah, what Otter of the World on Twitter says is very, very kind of like the consensus for most
answer?
people. Yes, most people had that to say. So like Rock Climbing Girl 23 on Instagram said it's proof that you can apparate safely, and then she also said he or she also said it also serves as a form of ID, like a driver's license. So I think that's like a good thing to keep in mind. I know that I'm pretty sure that like in Fantastic Beasts, Newt gets his apparition license like revoked or something. Like he has like something happens where he's not allowed to apparate like to a different like out of the country. Okay. So I think I know
so he gets a limitation on it.
Yeah, it like allows them to enforce regulations and like limitations on people, I guess. So that was like an interesting perspective. And then Scurvy 42 on Instagram said, I think the license part is just the author trying to extend the driving metaphor ad absurdum. No one checks to see if you passed your apparition test. You just don't splint yourself. Never once has even Mundungus, who literally abandoned Harry, demonstrated to have the status of his apparition license revoked or even checked. So yeah, you need a test and to be seen to have passed. But it's not about policing it in the future. It's about having been shown to be able to do this necessary skill for wizarding life without endangering themselves or those around them unduly. I thought that was awesome. That was a really good answer. And then our listener, Jeff, who is at Dreamquaffle, always has some great things to say. And so Jeff responded to Scurvy 42 and said, good catch. Mundungus isn't the type to get a license for anything. He might have sold a few though, which is good. Like, I never really
fake like apparition licenses.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about like forging and selling fake apparition licenses. It's kind of interesting.
I mean, it's all in the hustle and the con,
Right. And then on his own, Jeff commented, when you get a license, you learn how to do something safely. You also learn what not to do so that you're the only one accountable if something goes wrong. So the magical folks don't hurt themselves and they don't break the statute of secrecy because wizard God forbid the ministry should have to get up off their butts and do work. And then he also said they also can't file a lawsuit if something goes wrong. Also, can wizards sue each other?
I mean, that's a great question. Can wizards sue each other?
Do they have wizard lawyers? Do they have wizard lawyers? Like, that's a great question.
Yeah, I think they do because Rufus Scrimgeour told Hermione she should be one.
Oh, like an advocate for rights and stuff. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah, I guess that then it also just kind of makes me think of like, do they have insurance? Like how do
if you're 17 to 25, is your apparition insurance like really expensive until after you're 25?
That and also like if you get put in St. Mungo's for like a splinching incident or something, like do they have like is it covered by insurance?
UK. No, girl, this is the UK. They have like nationalized healthcare.
I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
This is you putting our American sensibilities into like an UK.
That's true. I did forget about that. That's a good point. But yeah,
they have socialized medicine. They're way ahead of us.
Yeah. Good point. Yep. So yeah, I mean, these were all really good. I love hearing these perspectives. Obviously, I don't think about these things, which is why we asked the question. So thank you guys so much for
this is so great.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, this time we have a question that actually we're going to answer ourselves in the Patreon segment. But like this time it's just like the one vial. If you had access to Felix Felicis, what would you use it for?
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what people say.
Oh, I can't wait.
And I really hope that, if you're a patron of ours and you're going to answer this question, I want you to answer it before you listen to the Patreon segment, because I don't want you to like just be like, oh, like I'll just do what Helene said, or I'll just do what Adri said. Like that's a good idea.
No,
I want you to like have your own ideas and like, I don't want them to be influenced by what we say. So if you're a patron, pause right now, write down your answer, and then come back.
I think that every like person's answer is going to be so freaking like personal that it doesn't matter.
I hope so. I mean, like the obvious would be like, oh, I would enter the lottery. Like that's like the obvious answer, right?
I thought about that one, but I discarded it because I was like, am I Slughorn?
I mean, yeah, if you want to ensure that you make a lot of money really fast, that's how you that would be a thing to do.
What a pyramid scheme. I love it.
Yeah. Anyway, I can't wait to like dig into like the more deep things. Anyway, we'll get to that in Patreon.
All right. Well, let's all take a deep breath and stretch because we've made it to almost the end of the show. And as always, we take a sharp left turn and talk about non-Harry Potter things that we've been consuming. Helene, what have you been consuming this week?
I'm not very exciting. I've racked my brain for a while. A lot of what I've been consuming is stuff for work, which I can't actually really talk about.
Okay, look, I need you to stop humble bragging about being so cool in your job, okay?
I'm just telling the truth.
Oh, I had to sign an NDA. Oh, I know what's coming up, but I can't tell you. I know, Helene, you're very cool.
I'm sorry, that's not what I'm trying to say. It is cool that I get to watch TV for my job, but like, I'm just being honest. Like, that's what I've been doing is watching TV for my job that I cannot talk about. Or else I would say what it is. I just haven't had time to like watch a lot of things.
Do you know that Helene is important? We all do. Yes.
Stop! You're making me like hate everything that's coming out of my mouth.
No, I'm just teasing you. I love you so much.
I know. No. So yeah, I mean, I've been watching a lot of Castle just whenever I have free time. It's the same thing I said last week, but season 6, the last season of This Is Us, just started. There's another episode from this week that I haven't watched yet. I'm really excited. But that's been a big one for me. That just came back. I have been thinking about Encanto and watching TikToks about Encanto like constantly since I watched it like a week or two ago. So I don't know if that counts since I didn't technically watch it again, but I've been watching TikToks about it. Does that count?
Well, I mean, yeah, it is media that you have been consuming. It's
That's
just
true.
Like free. It's just media made by us normal people.
Yeah. If you have it, you really should. I really, really am like interested to hear what you have to say about Encanto. I really want to hear what you have to say. So you should. I am
so behind on everything because of Seth's quarantine. And then we haven't been able to like watch anything even. So he got out of quarantine yesterday morning, and we haven't been able to watch anything together because last night I was in debilitating pain.
Yeah.
And I felt like a truck ran over me, literally.
Yeah.
And because, pregnancy is fun, you guys. Again, I'm going back to the whole, like, people who say it's a miracle. Like, I feel like they mean miracle in the same way, like, stigmata is a miracle on the body. Like, something that makes you suffer. But apparently it's very, like, miraculous and makes you very Christ-like or whatever.
I feel like it's just men that say that it's a miracle, to be honest.
No, honestly, I've heard this from the mouths of women. And I'm like, who are you deluding, lady?
Women who have given birth?
Yes.
Jesus. Okay. Right.
But I you know what? I respect the people who have told me how it was like before I got pregnant, because I would have been even more livid if everyone had been telling me it was a miracle. And I'm like, what part of this is a miracle? Is it all the pain and suffering?
Yeah, it's
Is it
like
all the organs
the thing
squishing
is,
up?
you know what this teaches us? This just teaches us that pregnancy has good marketing. Like, people wouldn't get
It's
pregnant if they
You know what?
knew that it sucked.
You know what? Pregnancy and De Beers have the same marketing team. Like those people who do blood diamonds have the same marketing team as pregnancy.
Yeah, I mean, people wouldn't voluntarily. Well, they might, but some people might not voluntarily like get pregnant if they knew that it like literally destroyed your body and like was painful and awful for 9 months or whatever. So
I mean,
like
I
they
kind
have
of
to
knew. I'm not gonna say
no, but if
that I was like, I don't know.
obviously people get pregnant to have children. Like, it's like, means to an ends, whatever. Like, oh, I know I'm gonna have to go through pain. It means I'm gonna end up with a child. Yes, I get that, but like, people have to like make it sound like there's good parts of it, or else like people are just gonna be like, why the fuck do you do this?
Well, I've been asking that of myself a lot lately. Um, but like there is a reason why I waited until 35 to
Right.
have a child, because I was not willing to do this 5 years ago or 10 years ago to my body.
Totally, yeah.
And because I knew enough like honest women who told me about it. And I would say that the only thing that I have found that is truly like joyful about it
Mhm.
is feeling the baby move.
That makes sense.
Literally the only thing.
Yeah, I mean, it just reminds. I feel like feeling the baby move is a reminder of what you're doing it for.
Yeah. It's like, because it's like, oh, like that's a weird like feeling from the inside of my body, and now I'm feeling like now that I'm like 27 weeks along, like I can feel like I can see the actual movement
Yeah.
on the top of my belly.
That's always been really creepy to me. I think it's cool, but it's like, holy shit,
No, but
you're
it's
like,
cool. Okay, so it's creepy when it's happening to someone else. Kind of cool when it's happening to you.
well, because like it's kind of like you can put a visualization of what you're feeling, but like to
Yeah,
someone else, it's just like,
exactly.
holy shit, there's something moving in you. Like that's creepy. Like,
Yeah, it's kind of like Alien, but not.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I still find like sonograms super creepy. Like I thought I would change my mind on that. I did not change my mind, listeners. Like, am I saving all of them? Of course I am, because that's something I pay $200 to get done every time I get it done. So let's have proof that there's something in there. But am I posting them on Instagram? Fuck no.
Right.
They're creepy as hell. Like it just looks like an alien in a field or whatever.
Right.
Anyway, what I have been watching is related to my pregnancy. I've been scrolling Pinterest because,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
friends, I don't know if you know this, but sexism is everywhere, even in nurseries.
I thought you were gonna say, I don't know if you know this, but I'm pregnant.
Oh, no, both. That too. But sexism is everywhere, even in like nursery decor. So, like.
What's crazy?
I know. The patriarchy. Boys' rooms are all about adventure and wildlife and, like astronauts or like, just like the fun stuff. And then girls' nurseries are like rainbows and unicorns and princesses and castles and flowers, Like those are like the themes. And
I don't know.
surprising no
Castles
one.
are kind of cool. I would do castles.
Yeah, I know, but surprising no one. I'm like, not liking any of this. So I figured, my theme, I guess, will be like pastel rainbows or something because I love color. But then I was like, ooh, lady adventurers, like Amelia Earhart, or
Mm-hmm.
like in The Mummy with Rachel Weisz, So I was like, I think I like that. So I am now looking at pictures of female explorers from the 1930s, and the 1940s and the 1920s.
You could do like the first female astronaut, or the first female. I don't know.
Well, so what I'm doing is I'm scrolling through like of that period because I do like the menswear from that period that they wore.
Okay. All right.
Like the girls, the women wore to be explorers.
Right.
So then I'm going to create a character based on that and make like drawings and stuff to like put around the nursery.
That's awesome. That's going to be great.
Because if no one does it, I'm going to do it.
And then you put it on Pinterest so that people like you who are scrolling through Pinterest will see that and be like, hell yeah, sexism isn't everywhere.
Exactly. Because it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't, because I'm like super girly too. Like, it's not like I'm just going to be like, oh, you know, I just want a gender neutral like bedroom or whatever. I'm like a super girly person, but that doesn't mean I don't like adventure, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I want.
I love it.
That's what's happening. And that's why I've only been consuming Pinterest. Well, that's it for today's episode. You can join us next time when we talk about chapter 23 of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, titled Horcruxes. I wonder what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, it's a very apt title. If you've enjoyed today's episode and this conversation, please take a second to give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify now that you can do Spotify, or just wherever you happen to be listening right now. You're probably listening on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify, though the odds are pretty high. Giving us a 5-star rating helps new listeners discover the podcast and makes us really happy because it means that you like what we're doing and we're not just wasting our time. So thank you.
I love it. I love when we're not wasting our time. But also, you know what, Helene? This wouldn't be a time waste because we get to talk shit to each other. So
that's true. It's fun to do it whether or not you guys enjoy it, but hopefully you enjoy it because, I mean...
but hopefully you enjoy it because we're people pleasers. Please, thank you.
We want you to enjoy it.
I'm like trying to be cool. Like, I don't care, you know, but also I want you to love me.
Yeah. Just trying to play nonchalant.
Well, until then, politics managed. Support this show by going to patreon.com/occhiopolitics. Our patrons keep this show going. You can find us online at occhiopolitics.com, and we are at Occhiopolitics on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can email us your thoughts at info@occhiopolitics.com. Leave us a voicemail at 915-996-1699. And you might just hear yourself on the podcast. Adriana Wilson is the founder and creative director of the podcast. Helene Karp is the producer and social media manager. Allison Pullman is the audio wizard and editor who makes us sound so good. Cover art and physical rewards are designed by Adriana Wilson. The views expressed by the hosts and guests are expressly their own and not representative of their employers or associates. Occiopolitics is part of the MuggleNet family of podcasts.